Hello and welcome to SoundOrg TV. Today I'm joined by Eddie Spruit, one of my oldest friends in the audio industry, founder, creator of Quadraspire. Quadraspire makes audio furniture that not only looks elegant, but actually enhances the performance of any component that you put onto it. Eddie, thanks for joining us at SoundOrg TV. Love the picture, brings back some happy memories, whether we see that in our lifetimes again, but we've had some good times at the Arsenal ground together, haven't we?
Oh, absolutely. And what a genius, Dennis Bergkamp, eh?
Happens to be Dutch like yourself, I believe.
Indeed, only the best.
Yeah. So for those viewers unfamiliar with Quadraspire, could you tell us a bit how you got started and how the brand evolved initially?
So, going way back, I originally was a lawyer, but my hobby was cabinet making, and I decided to give up the law, become a cabinet maker, and I set up my own business, and I called it Quadraspire. And the name actually comes from a piece of furniture that I made, which was a very simple side table made up of 4 quadrants of a circle that radiated around a central leg. And when you look down on it, it created a spiraling effect. So it was Quadraspire. And as well as my love for furniture, I had a love for music. And chatting to a friend, he suggested I make a hi-fi rack rather than buy one. And at the time, most of them were steel and glass, and I really wanted something in wood. And I particularly like making furniture in curves. So one of my first products I made was a jewelry box. And that really was the gem for the first product, the Q4 hi-fi rack. And basically I combined a couple of designs with curves in them, and that's how I came up with the rack. And it worked first time. I was very fortunate to have an opportunity to demonstrate the rack to Graham's Hi-Fi, which is one of the best shops in this country in central London. And at the time, they were auditioning a number of racks because they really wanted to just recommend one rack to their customers. And although they dismissed me at the beginning, they did listen to it and decided it was the rack for them. And the rest is history. We were soon exporting to Germany and then Japan and yourself in America. So it's been a great journey.
One of the things I particularly like about Quadraspire is it's very elegant in a home. It doesn't look like a massive industrial oil rig contraption, and yet actually works. Equipment sounds better no matter what you put on it, be it a source, an amplifier. Can you go over some of the engineering behind that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the main things is the shape of the shelf. As I mentioned to you, I like curves. I didn't really realize at the time, but because there's, for example, on the jewelry boxes, obviously, which is not the rack, but like the rack behind me, it's got curves. There's very few parallel lines. Now, parallel lines in square shelves and rectangular shelves, they excite, so they'll increase more resonance, create more resonance. So if you can eliminate parallel lines, that will decrease resonance, and that helps to reduce the resonance that is produced by the equipment and absorbed by the equipment that's sat on the shelves. So that's one of the key reasons why it works well. The other one is the choice of the material. Although we did use glass for a short while, glass is one of the worst things to use because it resonates. You just have to tap a wine glass and it rings. Steel tube is similarly not useful, not good. But we use aluminium, solid aluminium, which is pretty neutral. It doesn't excite, and we use veneered MDF. So those were the key ingredients that make the rack work in terms of helping to dissipate resonance produced by the equipment and or absorbed by the equipment. And the sooner you can get that resonance out of the system, that you're going to get a clearer sound, and you're lowering the noise floor. And everything we've done since has been to do that.
Now, in recent years, you've kind of transitioned from wood as the shelf to bamboo. And although it's ecologically friendly, and I know you love panda bears, what was the reason for going to bamboo?
So bamboo, if I'd known about it 25 years ago when I started Quadraspire, one, it's a very nice material to work with, but I came across it through one of my customers of my sister company, as it were, where we do contract work for other companies. And it's made up of very thin tubes of bamboo. I mean, that's how bamboo is constructed. It's made of thousands of little tubes of air. And that just seems to work really, really well. It's not as dense as MDF, which our shelves are veneered MDF. So the wood veneer is great, but the MDF as a core isn't that great. Whereas bamboo with those tubes of air, is really good from a sound point of view. And it's an incredibly strong material. So you can hold really heavy equipment on our racks because of the bamboo, and of course our aluminium columns, which are all solid aluminium columns.
And going up from the Q4 series, talk to us about the SVT, which is quite a dramatic improvement even from a Q4.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the Q4 obviously it's a solid shelf, although we created the Q4 Evo about 10, 12 years ago, where we've machined the underside of the shelf. It's still a solid shelf. By routering out the slots in the shelf to create the SVT shelf, you're reducing the mass, and again, you're increasing kind of surface area, where in terms of the area of the size of the slots, where the resonance, again, it helps to get rid of the resonance, but you're lowering the mass. A lot of the principles, which the other principle of the racks that we make, is they're all light and rigid, not heavy and heavy mass. So they're all very light, as you know, because you can carry it.
Eddie, the light and rigid principle goes through a lot of the things that we have here. Riga, and last week we were talking to the guys at McLaren, who also were talking about light, rigid structures. So definitely it seems to be a performance enhancing way to go rather than heavy mass, which seems to deaden sound and not be as performance driven.
Absolutely. I mean, it's one of the real criteria for everything we do. All the upgrades, like the bronze upgrade, but if you look at the aluminium columns on the SV rack, I talked about the shelves, but the SV columns, again, to get rid of the parallel lines, but also to reduce the mass, they're hourglass shaped, like the Quadraspire mug. That really, again, helps with dissipating the resonance and reducing the mass, and I think makes it look more elegant.
And the use of bronze in material, going back to the Stone Age, or?
No, I've got a great guy in our R&D department called Alistair, who I've known for 25 years. And he joined the company about 2 years before we had our 20th anniversary. And to celebrate that, I gave him the job of coming up with an upgrade that any Quadraspire customer for the last 20 years could add to their rack and get an improvement for the main source component that would go at the top of the rack. So as part of that process, Alistair listened to a number of different materials, from stainless steel, aluminium, bronze, brass, titanium, you name it, he listened to it. He got Ian, the engineer at the factory, who you know well, to machine all the different prototypes so that he could listen to all the different kind of materials and shapes to get one that was going to just give that extra upgrade, a bit more performance for all those customers for the first 20 years. And believe it or not, I get contacted quite a lot by people who've had our racks for 20 odd years, and wanting extra shelves or columns and the upgrade. So it's been a great success, that bronze upgrade, and all of that is actually the design of it is probably more, the look of it is more me, but the fact it works and its performance definitely down to Alistair, our R&D guy.
And talking of performance, we go to the XREF, which when I first saw it and you showed me a prototype, I thought you were insane. But
well, I am.
Well, that's true. But I mean, the performance difference you get is just absolutely astounding. Go through that design for us.
Well, that was your fault. So basically, we came out to see you in, was it 2016, 2015? To show you, no, I think it was 2015, to show you the bronze upgrade. And you guys really liked the bronze upgrade. And I think one of your guys asked, well, can I have it on every level of the rack? And we said, well, no, it's only for the top of the rack. But it made us think, well, maybe we could come up with a rack where you could have that bronze upgrade on each level. And again, I set Alistair the task of coming up with that new rack. And that's how the XREF started as a design. I mean, there's a lot of work went into that. So the using the X part of it is made from bamboo, but we wanted to make it, again, extremely light and rigid. So we cut it to cut as much off it as we could. Hence its shape. It's an X, and it's got a hole cut in the middle. And that made it very, very light. And again, to deaden it, we covered it in Nextel coating, which is used quite a lot in the motor industry for damping. And then we've got larger columns, like the same design as the SV rack, but bigger to hold the X's together. And then that allows the SVT shelf with the bronze upgrade to kind of float on each X. But there's a lot of little design features within the bronze, within the X, and particularly the little locators that are on the X, which make the rack work. And it's a bit, I equate it sometimes to like a river. If you can help it flow quickly, the resonance will just flow out of the system much quicker, which lowering the noise floor and opening the sound stage, and that's what works.
Eddie, I see the huge slab of black oak behind you. Tell us about new products and what you have there.
Well, the exciting thing is, you asked about the bamboo earlier. I've made the decision finally to make all the Quadraspire products are going to be in bamboo in future in 4 different finishes. So that's the natural bamboo, cherry bamboo, dark bamboo, and black bamboo. And we're going to discontinue the wood shelves. Although for customers who want to add wooden shelves to their existing racks, we'll always make those. That's not a problem. But going forward, we believe that the performance has to be the main criteria, and bamboo is by far the better sounding material. And now that we've managed to crack the 4 finishes, which pretty much replicates what the wood finishes were, we're going to go all bamboo as of January next year. But the new website that you'll see soon, it's all bamboo. And this particular shelf next to me, which is nearly 6 foot tall, is the new SV3T shelf. So the SV3T rack. So we'll have the SVT, the SV2T, and this is the SV3T.
So Eddie, one of the exciting things you developed were for people that couldn't accommodate a rack in their house, the Q Plus series, which gives you the advantages of a rack under a component and getting that performance enhancement. Can you go through the range and what they do?
Yeah, well, it's the whole idea came about exactly what you said. There are people who can't actually have a rack for whatever reason. And we decided to develop the Q Plus range, which kind of mimics the racks, what the racks do. So we have three main racks, as you know, the Q4 Evo, the SPT range, and the XREF range. So we created a Q Plus for each of those racks. So we have the Q Plus Evo, mimics the Evo rack, the Q Plus Advanced for the SPT, and the Q Plus Reference for the XREF rack. And by and large, I would say that they give about 75% of the performance of a rack. And it allows you to put the Q Plus straight under the feet of the component, not the chassis, but the feet of the component. So you can place them under the feet of any of your components, or either all of them or just some of them. You can mix them up in terms of have a Q Plus Evo on maybe a power supply, but a reference on a source or amplifier, and it works to a degree the same way that the racks work. Again, Alistair, our R&D guy that I mentioned earlier, it's his baby. He developed, he listened, spent hundreds of hours listening. So again, lots of different materials, combinations, the ways of, so basically you've got a carcass, which is on the Q Plus Reference. You've got a bronze carcass, as it were, with bamboo discs, and then a series of washers and bolts in different materials that hold the bamboo discs to the carcass. And it's that interaction that makes the Q Plus work. And it's hearing is believing. It's quite incredible. Until you actually try it, you can't quite believe that little Q Plus can make such a difference.
Yeah, it's astounding. A very easy demonstration to do as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the easy demonstration has always been from day one, because you wouldn't have a lot of time to demonstrate to people. So the demonstrations need to be quick and easy.
Well, Eddie, thank you for joining us this morning. It's been a real pleasure to catch up with you. Let's plan our next meeting at the Emirates. And
indeed.
I think it's your turn to get the first round in, because I bought last time.
Well, we're going back to the Churchill.
Yeah, absolutely, mate.
Excellent. Excellent.
Okay.
I'll buy the champagne this time.
Take it easy. Thanks for joining us,
right.
Eddie.
Take care.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of SoundOrg TV and learning about Quadraspire. If you have, hit the like, subscribe button. If you have comments or questions, please send them on to us. And if you would like to learn more about Quadraspire, go to soundorg.com. We hope to see you on a future episode of SoundOrg TV.